I'm dropping in tonight with something a little bit different. I have this super oracle deck that I put together that's actually the combination of a few oracles. We got the Sacred Rebels Oracle, we got the Halloween Oracle, we also got the White Light Oracle, and I combined them into one big deck here because I just kind of wanted to create more opportunity for a mixed variety of messages to come through. And that we just do an oracle read for the collective and just see what energy is coming in at the moment. What does the collective need to be aware of? What needs our attention? And just any kind of guidance that wants to come through. And we're just going to play with this energy a bit and see what wants to develop here. All right, and I'm going to have to separate these a little bit, so we'll get a baseline energy just to kind of get the baseline message. I do want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to all the members. Thank you to everyone who's been here from the start. Just really want to extend my appreciation to the community. Thank you for growing with me and opening up to this experience as we co-create this space together. Thank you for all the reading bookings, for those of you who've given super thanks, and all the many ways you support the channel, from passing it on, maybe sharing a message. It all makes a big difference, and I love to hear more of your voices coming in. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with the reads and just, bringing in the comments. I always love to connect with people in real time. So thank you so much. I'm feeling really good about the momentum that's building here. So let's see. Let's get a baseline energy. Okay, bottom of the deck, we have Tantra of 639 hertz. So you might want to bring in this hertz frequency, especially for any healing you're doing around the concept of coming into union. And I feel this coming into union is more of an overall concept. Certainly it would apply to coming together in union in relationships. So this might be a supportive hertz frequency for doing any kind of healing work that you're doing around a relationship. It can also be very beneficial for coming into union within the self, whether that's coming into union between the receptive side and active side of your inner cosmology, or masculine, feminine principles, the yin, the yang energy. This is just coming into that place of total alignment as well, spiritually, where you're no longer feeling separate, but you're really embodying the energy. You're rooting the divine in the mundane, drawing down the energy of spiritual inspiration into the physical body, and experiencing the connection when we recognize that we are creator. Creator is manifest through us. And so I do feel like this is something very inspired. It's giving me musing energy that wants to awaken within you. It's like you're coming into union with a creative vision. It's sparking some kind of awakening in you. I feel this. For some of you, you're going through a real spiritual awakening. You're starting to get in touch with parts of yourself you've never accessed before, and it's really rocking you. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, listening for truth. So there's a lot about this kind of inward focus, taking space to oneself to listen deeply to what's being communicated within yourself. This has a lot of inward kind of energy. There's also a certain cleansing of falsehoods that comes when you dive deep within the self. It was 4:44 on the clock when I brought that in. So I do feel like this is aligning with a certain truth a certain core spiritual truth of who you are as a soul in a physical body, you know. There's a remembrance too within you that wants to awaken. There's this calling home, and I feel like calling home is really calling your awareness to that place within yourself where you know that you are an important part of this existence. It's the understanding that you belong simply because of your presence on this earth. And there's something here. There's something here that's awakening in you. It's a core truth. And I feel it's directly tapped into this creative inspiration, this creative vision, this musing energy that's coming in. It might be coming in as a truth that needs to be expressed. It's an expression of you, maybe that you've had under wraps. Maybe for one reason or another, you sort of held this within yourself. You didn't let this part of you be seen. And we have forgiveness here. Right, so this is also, look at the beauty of the rose in the open palm. And there's this piece too about maybe releasing the burden of holding on to the things that tried to hold you tight in the bud and that didn't allow you the freedom and the vulnerability to just come into full bloom, like the full expression of who you are. There's this piece about you might be coming up against the distortions between who others have labeled you to be or certain identities you've taken on, and how this isn't really measuring up to what you're discovering about yourself, as maybe you take the risk to allow yourself to be drawn in the direction of what's pulling you forward, and doing so, even though it may kind of like go outside the box for you or might be something that other people don't understand. You may have really been focusing a lot on different ways that you've been held back in your life, or that you dealt with some kind of mistreatment or hardship as the result of another not seeing what you did have to offer, not seeing your full potential. There's something about here, about coming into this place of full potential. I feel this very strongly, and somehow this being squelched. And it's sort of like now time for you to let go of what placed that burden on you, so you can free yourself of others' judgments about your value, others' judgments about what you have to offer, and allow yourself to really come into the full expression of who you're here to be. And maybe forgiving yourself as well for holding yourself back or using it as an excuse to really step into the fullness of what you're meant to be doing at this time, okay? All right, and I'm just going to go ahead and just do a few more shuffles here. I'm picking up all this like Phoenix rising energy. So I feel like you're in a process where you're closing a pretty heavy cycle. There's been a lot of emotional integration. There's been a lot of truths to, I feel like, take on the chin. Like maybe you've had to put on a really brave face. Maybe you had to be really strong in the face of this, and there hasn't really been an opportunity for you to move more into the softening energy around it, like to really allow yourself to feel what you feel around it. Maybe you felt like you had to save face. You know, some of you may have felt this in some way. You might be realizing the ways that this is starting to become a burden, and that as long as you're sort of holding on to this old energy, it's weighing you down. As you start to move more into the feminine energy, I feel like the receptive energy, just allowing yourself to sink into it. There's something about this that actually activates the creative life force within you. It's like then the avenue opens up within you. You no longer feel this like stuck, contracted energy. You actually can create the way forward from there. It's sort of like a blockage right now. There's some need to sort of like open oneself up to what has been held within for too long, I feel. Okay. It requires that you listen though. And there's also something you need to remember here. It's something you're forgetting. And maybe there's this piece of you've just been focusing on the harsh aspects of what you've been through. And there's also something coming through here about search for the gift, search for the sunken treasure that's beneath the turbulence of those emotions. Like dive deep into it, sink into it, and there's some kind of pearl that you've gleaned from this experience. You got to remember this. It's important because it's going to serve you in your future, and also this new direction, this new vision that's birthing in you now. All right, I'm going to just take this top section of cards here. I'm going to set these aside. All right. I'm not sure how I'll use these yet, if I'll use that second half, but you know, I can only shuffle so many of these at a time. Bastet. I really like this. 174 hertz. So Bastet is all about play and sensuality. And it did come in with Tantra. So there's this piece about rediscovering pleasure as well. And I do want to speak to those of you who may not currently have a partner. This might be something that you want to open up to, just exploring what I like to call pleasure rituals. It's the pleasure principle. There's something about this that helps you get more in touch with that creative energy. The creative energy is the yin energy. It's the feminine energy. So it responds very much to sensual experiences where all the senses are engaged. And certainly that can come through sensual pleasure, absolutely, whether by yourself or with a partner that can be conscious and wants to take it to that place of elevation. Maybe that's what you felt was missing. You know, maybe that's what's been missing in your unions, is you're wanting a little deeper of a sensuality. You're wanting the sensual to become the spiritual. And there's almost this piece here about the gateway first opens within the self. It's through indulging in your senses in a conscious way that it helps unlock this potential to actually find that in a partner. You know, there might be a need to sort of like reclaim your power from experiences that you had with past partners where you felt shamed for your sensuality, or not recognized or respected or honored in that space. Or it could be that maybe your needs didn't take a precedence. And so this is an opportunity to explore this in a new way, but not in a way of having to, how can I express this? It's not about like diving deep into all the heavy stuff. It's more like, no, your freedom comes through pleasure. So instead of seeking that outside of yourself, it's time to give yourself that pleasure, you know, indulge in, you know, nice, you know, luxurious, you know, fabrics, whether it's getting yourself some really nice, you know, silk sheets, or whether it's, you know, wearing clothes that just, you know, have a certain texture that just feels really good against your skin, or helps you tap into, you know, your sensuality, surrounding yourself with beautiful things, you know, maybe bringing in some flowers into your environment, getting yourself flowers and just having that beauty to look at, you know, around you, making yourself dinner and setting yourself a beautiful place at the table and making it look, you know, like you're serving a guest, you know, it's the way you would treat a guest, the way you would serve somebody that you love, kind of giving you this service to yourself in a way to sort of like honor the divinity within, honor the spirit within. And even if you don't connect to it in that way, it's honoring, let's say, the sovereign within, you know, the place inside of you that knows that as as somebody just here, you know, present here, planet Earth, alive, that you deserve a place of belonging and to feel loved and to feel appreciated and to feel supported. And actually, in you helping to nurture this within yourself, it allows you to resonate with others who also know how to show up in this space. There's some kind of deep healing happening here. I think you're being encouraged to take a break, you know, from any heavy processing and start to open yourself up to pleasure. You know, let yourself have some fun. It's been a little bit too long, so it's time to kind of think of things that really give you a sense of enjoyment, things that help you just forget your cares for a while. And again, sensuality. I mean, Bastet is about sensuality, and with the Tantra piece coming in, I do feel like this is really starting to explore sensuality on a deeper level. Now, those of you who are fortunate enough to be coming into union with somebody at this time, I think that this is a person that you first really felt come in energetically. When you meet this person or when you met this person, it does feel like those that this is speaking to, this is a more new development, or it's something that's just up ahead. It's picking up that kind of energy. It feels like some kind of new beginning energy. This could be even somebody that maybe you've had some kind of distance from or separation from. There might have been a bit of a time out energy in this connection, or maybe there were challenges in this regard in the past, but you're getting beyond a hurdle and you're coming together in a new way. It's sort of like pleasure is the way to heal this connection, and bringing a lot of consciousness to this. How can we both really enjoy the pleasure of coming together? There's a lot of sensuality around it. This is definitely an adult read, but this is an adult channel, and we're all adults here. I think we can handle this kind of a discussion. It's definitely a discussion where we're bringing a lot of consciousness around it, so it doesn't feel disrespectful or base in any way, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of what's happening here. There's an elevation of this energy, the way that you want to show up in relationship, and you're recognizing it first begins with really acknowledging your desire for pleasure and your desire to share that pleasure with another, and wanting it to be a place where there's a real meeting, you know, eye to eye, where it's not just about gratification of the other. There's a mutual exchange of energy here that actually creates a certain kind of elevation. You know, it can be a consciousness raising experience. A lot of you are kind of tired of just connecting with people on a superficial level. There's a lot of you who maybe you enjoyed a period of your life like that, you know, and it was good at one time, but you're coming to a place now where you're craving something with a little bit more depth to it. You know, you want a different level of connection. You're starting to feel unfulfilled by the superficialities, and some of you may have even refrained. You may have chosen to practice celibacy. You know, you've been wanting to have a deeper understanding of why you keep finding yourself with the same type of partners, or why you do feel unfulfilled on a sensual level. And what is that about? Where did you get this sort of this willingness to compromise something that's actually very important to you? You know, and why were those compromises made? So there's something you're unraveling here. But I feel like it's something that maybe you've been really grappling with or really looking at, or there's something that's been kind of heavy around the process. For some of you, it's a really heavy relationship cycle that you're setting, and it might have shut you down a little bit, and you're being asked to kind of like open up to this energy again, because even if you're currently on your own and you're not with somebody, there's still a need for you to acknowledge that this is part of who you are. You know, you're a sensual creature. You have senses. You're here in this physical body to have a physical experience. And a lot of times people separate the physical from the spiritual. They think they're two separate things, but it's all interconnected. And to be in this body is a spiritual experience. It is. You know, this is a very sacred experience, to be able to have a body, to experience life through, and to have all of these senses. And sometimes we allow our senses to be flooded with that which is painful, or that which inspires fear, or that which is stress building. And there's this piece here about there needs to be more balance. Like maybe there's been way, way, way too much focus on that which is contracting the energy, so you can sort of soften and move into what wants to expand here. Oh yeah, we got some action happening here. Okay, that came out right off the bat. We got invisibility, authenticity, yes. Unnecessary fear, coming in with the graveyard, to rejoicing in the present with joy. You see, there's something here about, you know, I feel like you are moving out of this cycle. You've been honest with yourself about this, that when you've been looking back at your relationships, and this applies even if you're currently in a relationship, I feel like you've gone, the collective this read is for, is going through a period of soul searching in terms of relationships, and also sensuality, and how they share that sensuality with their partner. Where is it ticking the boxes? Where is it not feeling like it's fulfilling? And what it's bringing up in you. Like you're in this process of wanting to relate on a deeper level, wanting deeper connection, and coming home to some, you know, pretty potent truths. And some of these truths have been disrupted, and some of these truths have been activating, and they've caused a lot of old stuff to rise to the surface that's had to be looked at and integrated. And I feel like you're in the process of heading toward a renewal cycle right now. So whatever you've been grappling with, whatever you've been processing with, it's sort of like you spent so much time there struggling with this thing that the shadows become a bit clingy. And so it's almost like stifling your energy, and it's holding you back. And here's the thing, it's like when this expression, when the feminine energy is crowded out, this applies whether you identify as a man or not, it doesn't matter. We all have masculine, feminine energy, yin, yang energy, feminine, receptive, masculine, active energy. They come together to form the way. You cannot have one without the other. All of nature exists in this way. These are hermetic principles here. All of creation is about this coming together of masculine and feminine energies. You need the masculine to provide that avenue for the creative force to work through, to bring things into being, for things to be birthed into being. And this feels very much like something's about to birth out of this time, that you've sort of been in that like womb space, you know? Some of you may have recently, you know, had a baby, and this changed. You know, it changed your body. It changed how you viewed yourself as a sensual creature. It's changed everything for you. And this has been what's been coming through. And you're about to experience a rebirth through the birthing process, and what that opened up your eyes to, that coming through for somebody. But there's some truth that became very clear for you, where you felt like in some way in your relationships, you haven't really been truly seen. In some ways you felt invisible, or like your needs weren't important, or there wasn't a real honoring of the true you. And maybe this is because you kept it hidden, you know, maybe for reasons that have its roots much further back than this relationship. Stuff you've carried forward with you, where you feel like, well, I can't let them see this part of me because what will they think of this? Or just not feeling safe, opening up, letting the guards down, being totally transparent with emotions, what you're feeling. For some of you, that's what it is. Your partner's looking at you. They can't figure you out. Who are you? You know, For some of you, you've really been grappling with this. You haven't even opened up the communication with this person, whoever that other person is on the other side of the table. And you're leaving your partner there, or this person that you're feeling these challenges with, and they don't know what is going on with you. They just see that you're going through this big change. Maybe you're feeling like this about the person, that you love. There's this piece here about authenticity. It's the key. And there might be something that you're really needing to express or open up about or communicate about that can actually get you to this place, that brings the pleasure back in, that helps really, unite the energies in a way that's fulfilling for both of you. And it's not just sensually, okay? It's on every level, but there's some key piece here, sensuality, pleasure, there's this piece here. It's the remedy right now. I got like that Marvin Gaye, sexual healing, let's get it on, it's that kind of energy. There's this desire for this, but there's also the desire to have that and not have it just be for a night, or not just have it be for, kicks, and to know that what's shared in this space, like, it has meaning. There's intimacy here. This is respected. This is between me and you. I don't have to worry about this being dishonored. I don't have to worry about this being disrespected. I can let down my guard. Somebody may really be feeling something deeply for somebody they've been connecting with sexually, but they're holding this back because they're afraid that the partner will be uncommitted, that they won't be interested in taking it to a deeper level or making that investment. And there's something here about whatever it is you're feeling. It's very important that you come forward with it, because you holding this inside of you like the crypt keeper and sort of living out of the reality of the past and things that have already come to an end in your life, it's not serving you right now. It's an unnecessary fear. And what you'll find is when you have the courage to sort of like push this fear aside and like move through the fear, don't allow the fear to take over, move through it, you'll be surprised, because you're going to find so much joy in this, all right? You're going to find so much joy in the letting go and the release of all that old stuff, that doesn't really play any role in what's showing up right now. Now, certainly I can see if this is a healing process you're going through in a relationship with somebody, the way this old stuff can get in the way. And so maybe there is something that just needs to be communicated honestly about here. Some of you have recently reconnected with somebody and they just want to get to the good stuff, they just want to get to the pleasure. You want to get to the pleasure, you do, but you're freezing up around it because you don't feel safe. You don't feel safe opening up to it because you're still holding on to old stuff that you haven't cleared the air on, that you haven't talked about. And it's providing a blockage from this release, this joy, this pleasure coming in. There's this piece about let go of the old stuff. Release what you need to release, air it out, express what you need to express. Don't hold it in, Don't hold it in to just kind of put up a false front to keep everything, smooth sailing. You might need to create a little disruption, but as you shake off all that old stuff, there's all this joy and expansion that comes in. And for those of you who have let go of a relationship and you've been alone for a while and you've been doing your own thing, I think that you're starting to really feel the sweetness and the joy that comes when you're true to yourself. And you're starting to understand, I held on to that for so long, but it was all the parts inside of me that are unlike love that held on to that. And now that I've let that go, I'm really starting to understand, oh, wow, there was just this leaf out of nowhere. It's the middle of the night here, but this leaf just flew past the window and drifted down. So yeah, in this letting go, you realize how much what you once clung to was really holding you back. And the way you held on to that more out of fear, maybe you held on to it out of security, or, there could be many reasons. Maybe you based all your self-worth on this idea of having this other person validate your existence. You know what I'm saying? But when you let go, you're starting to really embrace this joy here. Maybe you were really scared to step into this truth, but it's sort of like those of you who are on the precipice of this, where you're at the crossroads and you're like, I know I need to take this leap and I know I need to let this go. You know, you may be thinking that, oh my gosh, if I do this, I'm just like, that's it for me. I'll never find love again. You know, this is like the end of the world. There might be kind of like fatalistic thinking about this. And what you don't realize is once you take the leap, you find nothing but just like this sweet release. And it's almost like it's instantly rewarded. There's this piece here of whatever truth you have to bring forward, whatever is asking to be authentically expressed, wherever you're being asked to take off the mask, to let yourself be seen as you are without any artifice, without any pretenses. There's this piece that as soon as you release this, automatically there's this joy that comes in, that fills that space where you once felt so suppressed. And why is that? It's because it was a contracted space. When you're holding something in, it doesn't allow anything new to flood in. You release this. Oh, now there's all this creative energy. Now there's something that can start to gravitate in this direction to fill up what once burdened can actually be filled with something that enlightens, you know? And we know there's something special brewing here. We see it because we got midnight, the most magical hour of all. The transformation is just about to take place. It's the 11th hour right now. And what is on the other side of this transformation? Ooh, we got the witch, the earthly weaver of the world. So there's that creative fire. And fire is transformational, you know. Fire can be used in a destructive way, all right? Fire is usually destructive when there's, you know, a pressurized state, when we look at in terms of the human experience, you know. If you hold things in for too long, then your fire, it becomes internalized. This can cause health problems. It comes through as stress. But it also can create situations where then after being held in for so long, it can come out in such a way that it's too impulsive, it's reckless, or if you hold in your feelings and you don't like allow yourself to let down your guard, express what's coming up for you. When it does finally come out, it blows, you blow your top, all right? So there's a way to wield this fire masterfully. And so it's being asked to be used to heal, okay? To kind of like, I'm getting this piece of like, it would do you a lot of good to have a good burn, you know? You can do that in many different ways. You can write a letter. It may be expressing some of that more fiery stuff, the more pent up emotions you're feeling, your frustration. Maybe you need to kind of like clear some blocks out of the way, you know, do some block busting before you can get to this place where you can even feel like you can let down your guard to express yourself. Because if there's something you've held inside for a long time, you know, it might be too pressurized. So there's something here about do a good burn, you know, give yourself an opportunity to really acknowledge what it is you're feeling. Maybe write out a letter, like let all the nastiness come out, whatever it is that you feel like you're holding on to, whether it's resentment, anger towards a person, some kind of frustration, and then ask for the fire to transmute the energy so new growth can be possible. You know, sometimes you do a burn so there can be new growth, right? So you can plant something new and there can be growth. It's a principle that's sometimes used. You know, sometimes you do need to clear the ground. And so I feel like this is kind of like clear the ground of your being so you can invite in this opportunity for healing and transmutation. But there is something here about first, like you need to get really in touch with what you're feeling, because you are heading toward this place of you know, really being able to call things in. And whatever you're focusing your attention on is really going to grow at this time. And the opportunity for healing is front and center. You know, witch is a term that's been largely distorted by pop culture. It doesn't even mean what it truly meant at one point. A witch, you know, way, way back when, a witch would be the eccentric that lived outside of the normal confines of society, that lived off beyond the hedge, that lived beyond that border that separated regular life in the village and what was a little bit wild, a little bit unfamiliar, a little bit unknown. But you would go and you would see the witch if you had a problem that was not able to be resolved by rational means. And that witch would bring healing to you. And that's what it traditionally is about. It's not about running around hexing people and doing this kind of like real like base, low vibe stuff. It was about being in harmony with the elements. It was about honoring the seasons. And when somebody would come to the witch who lived beyond the hedge, she might sing a song over them, a medicine song. She might give them certain plant allies to work with. She might, or he might, okay? She or he might make some kind of elixir, you know? Something to heal what was ill within the individual, or might do some kind of spiritual cleansing work for them, or even on a laying on of the hands. Okay, so this is this piece here about being mindful of where you're at right now and kind of what you're feeding. What are you feeding with your fire? Okay, because fire can be destructive, or fire can be transformational, and it can light a new way forward. You right now have the opportunity to create a new way forward, but it really does involve first allowing some stuff to burn, you know, releasing what you no longer need to be burdened with. And so I'm getting this piece, a good clearing out. Sometimes that's what you need. You just need a good burn. And you can make it really a reverent, you know, experience for yourself, where you can bring in different like smoke cleansing herbs, you know, that you feel called to, any kind of plant allies that are calling to you. And not only can you, you know, burn this letter, but you can also, you know, release to the fire different, you know, plant allies to bring in the smoke cleansing elements to imbue the qualities of that plant medicine to help infuse the situation and support the transformation you're looking for. So I'm getting this piece. It's like some kind of fire cleansing ritual, a good burn. You can even write on bay leaves things that you want to release, just like one word, something you're wanting to release. So if you're afraid to let yourself be seen because you're not sure it will be well received, or you feel some kind of embarrassment around being vulnerable, you could write like shame on a bay leaf and you could toss it into the fire and let it burn, you know, and it's a wonderful purification. It also smells wonderful. And bay leaf, I've always enjoyed working with. I work with bay leaf a lot because it also calls in blessing energy, even as it clears the energy. Rosemary is also wonderful for that. Rosemary is very protective, it's very purifying, it's cleansing, but it's also aligned with the energy of love. So I feel like you're being told that your manifestation abilities are really at an all-time high. And so it's really important that you're mindful of where you're at, like getting a read for this internal space. What's going on inside of you? And what are you kind of calling in right now? Because those creative fires are burning. And if you do feel like there's a lot that you're holding on to, it's time to kind of like burn through that old karmic cycle, release it, and maybe doing it in a way where you have a good burn, you know, and it really can clear the energy, because there's something that's about to come into alignment for you. And it is magical. It is a date with destiny I got, okay? It's a date with destiny, and you're just about to step into this transformation and really just like shed all the energy of what you just went through, you know, whatever's been burdening you is lifting. It's in the process of lifting here. So let's get just a little clue here. What is this magic that is coming in for the collective? Tell us a little bit more about this, Spirit. What is this magic that's coming in for the collective here? Whoop. Oh, ooh. Okay, this is interesting. I like this. Well, you're letting go. You're releasing control. We got zombie in reverse here. All right. So there was something from the past that you were allowing to hold you back for far too long. It could be a specific situation. It could be a specific relationship. It could be a specific person you were dealing with. It could be an old belief you had. You know, some situation you just felt really trapped in and beholden to, but this thing controlled you for too long. All right. And you're finally getting over it. You know, you're giving up control of this situation. You're not willing to kind of hold space for this anymore. It doesn't have the same grip on you that it used to. I feel like you're moving through this energy. It did hold you back at one time. I also feel like done is the time when you kind of like try to keep yourself under control, where you try to control your natural desires, where you try to control your natural urges. I feel like this is also you're wanting to lose control a little bit. You know what I mean? You want to be able to let go. You're tired of always like holding yourself in such a tight position, you know, just kind of keep things in alignment. I don't know why, but I got this energy of like walking on eggshells. Like maybe you dealt with somebody who was very controlling. You felt like you always had to tiptoe around. You couldn't just let your hair down. You couldn't just be yourself. You always had to, you know, just fall in line to what felt comfortable for them. There's this release of this sense of control, and I love it because we also got regret is in reverse. Okay, so you gave up the ghost. You're not allowing this thing to haunt you anymore. It's something from your past that used to have a real strong grip on you. And you're finally realizing you're getting to the other side of it. Like it doesn't have the same power over you that it used to. You're not going to live with regrets anymore either. You know, you're kind of tired of holding yourself back because you're recognizing that the more that you allow yourself to be held back like this big, bold, beautiful vision is unable to come into being. And there's something that wants to awaken in you, you know, and it's something that's far reaching. It has a lot of reach, a lot of expansion with this, with that bee medicine there. It's like there's a lot of community building with the vision that wants to come forward for you. Really beautiful. There's a scarab. There's scarab imagery here too. Everlasting life over the throat chakra, which is Vishuddha, and that's associated not only with communication. So there is a lot here about like letting your truth come forward, letting yourself speak the truth, communication, okay? That connectivity with the bees there, that community building with the bees there. But the scarab, it's really making me feel like, okay, this is going to get a little woo-woo. Like some of you may have a hard time relating to this. So what I would say is it's more just like a DNA activation of just like your ancestral roots, deep, deep, deep core memory reawakening in you. But for those of you who do feel connected to the concept of past lives, this is something that was your purpose that was suppressed in a past life. And it's now coming forward and being activated and reawakened in you now. You were silenced for this in a past life. You may have even suffered some kind of ostracization, or you were somehow exiled from your community, perhaps, okay? Some of you paid for this with your life, okay? But there was some kind of suppression here. This is being activated in you now, and this purpose is being reawakened. It's like you will not suffer from regret of seeing this unfulfilled in this life. Those forces of control have been overthrown, all right? This is like ancient history stuff here, because we had mummy. Mummy is also in reverse, all right? Mummy is in reverse here. And the imagery, you know, mummy all like tightly bound up here. You know, there's something that you freed yourself from. And what you're freeing yourself from is this sense of regret and this feeling of being controlled. And you're starting to recognize, wait a minute, I get to be the director of this ship. I get to choose how I want to steer my life forward. Ted just said yes to this. And as you do, you're finally realizing, I don't need to be held back in any way. As soon as I accept that nobody controls my choices, I get to choose, you know, and I can only live in regret if I'm giving over that control. If I'm not acknowledging the fact that it's up to me, like I can make anything I want to happen in my life happen, but it does take accountability. It does take me showing up. It does take me making different choices. It does take me recognizing that I make these choices. I'm the creator. I can't put that power in somebody else's hands. And I think as you're starting to realize this and you finally like give over to where you're really feeling pulled to go and the choices you know you need to make, you're moving out of regret and you're experiencing this sense of expansion and release. It's like you realize that you held yourself back for so long out of fear that once you step into this thing, you're going to go, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I do this so long ago? I should have done this so long ago, because it's going to bring so much joy in your life. And as soon as you step away from this and you do that thing that you've been kind of fearful of doing, this is when the change happens and the vision awakens. And it's like your purpose is going to be activated. I'm going to do a cut of the deck energy. All right. There is a relationship in the mainframe with this. It's coming through very strongly that whatever your vision is, it's definitely been informed by some kind of healing process you've been through in relationship and how you relate to yourself as a sensual being, how you relate to the concept of pleasure. And I think it has a lot to do with maybe you made do, or you allowed yourself to be somehow repressed or controlled in this way, or you were afraid of really stepping into your desires just out of fear. And that fear could come from old programming. That fear could have come from a relationship that you've been struggling with. But it does seem like there's some kind of relationship at the mainframe here and a desire to connect on a deeper level. And I do feel like this healing energy coming in. Some of you, after a time of being alone, you're finally going to come into alignment with that person who can, you know, meet you on that level. And some of you are getting to the other side of a relationship challenge and you're learning a new way to connect on a deeper level with your partner. And then there's some of you that are taking a really big, bold risk to leave an unsatisfying connection. And in doing so, you recognize it was really an unnecessary fear that you stayed stuck for so long. Because as soon as you step into it, it's like, boom, you know, it's like it sparks some new direction for you. This whole big, bold vision comes in and it lights the way forward for you. And all of a sudden, all the places where you felt blockages are just like free flow, man. And there's a lot of pleasure on offer. It's talking about you moving into this joyous, pleasurable, satisfying cycle. So, I mean, it looks like it's time to go for it, man. Let's do a cut of the deck and see what we got here. We got a Sacred Rebels Oracle coming in here. Heaven sent. Okay, and this is aligned with the energy of 34. There is a Shri Yantra here in the center. You can't see it. It's not showing up with the purple light I got going on here. But I think you can see that these upper channels are lit, and especially that third eye and that crown. So this really is about a vision awakening. It's sort of like there's too much stuff that's been crowded in the mind space. There's too much stuff that's been like held tightly in the heart. There's too much of the holding in. And as you like let this out and you release and you just open up and you let go, you stop trying to hold it, control it so much. That's when you get this clearing and some vision, some inspiration comes in for you. 33, it will be a building block for your future, okay? There's something that you'll probably see it before you actually step into it. You might get some kind of guidance that comes in around this. You might have a dream about it. You might just have an internal knowing or some kind of intuitive experience around this. But I do feel like you're tapping into some kind of higher consciousness. Like, it feels very like omen-like. Like it's something that's coming in to sort of like give you a little sense of what's to come on the other side of the leap of faith. It's sort of like to bolster your spirits, give you a little courage. So look for some interesting synchronicities to come in, but it's lining you up with something that is going to feel heaven sent to you. It's sort of like the divine plan. It's rooting a little bit of that heaven on earth, a little bit of that as above, so below. But first, you know, there needs to be the acknowledgement of the ending, and not just the acknowledgement of the ending with Lady de los Muertos here, but also let's remember what that's all about. When we think of Dias de los Muertos, we think of really honoring what has been released. It's not about casting it away and doing so in an undignified manner, but it's more really appreciating the ending as well, because the ending is the seed of the new beginning. The ending is the seed of this new light pouring into your life. This expansion, this joy, this connection, this big, bold vision, this heaven sent, you know, gift that wants to come onto your path. And there's a bit of magic weaving into your life. There's transformation here. There's healing here. You know, and this is, it says acceptance and equality. So to me, this is sort of saying like, it's time to stop kind of like going over old ground and feeling the resentment and the anger and dredging up all the old stuff. At some point, you kind of have to just like chalk it up to the game. And you have to say, you know what, this is equal, like karma balanced. And I think this is what this is saying. Like, it really is time to honor that this has been released. Whatever happened back there, it happened, it's done. And it's time to close that cycle, because while there's the connection, the control of holding on to this old stuff here, it's blocking this from coming in. So it's sort of like, you got to get this moving. You have to let it go. Only you can do that. And what's on the other side of this? It says wise seeing, wise action. All right? Wise seeing, wise action. So yes, it's like learn what you can from the time in the dark and carry it forward as wisdom in your life to guide you so you won't fall for self-deception again. So in the future, you will trust your intuitive guidance. You won't ignore it. And that you'll be able to respond to it in the moment instead of keeping silent, holding things in, and then dealing with the backlash of that when everything comes undone. And then you feel like you were deceived or taken advantage of, but you really went along for the ride. There's this piece about really owning that you do have a part to create in your experiences. And that's not to say that sometimes we don't get mistreated by people, but usually there's signs. Usually there's things that we see that we know this is out of integrity for me. This doesn't feel right. I'm not feeling satisfied here. I feel held back. This feels like I'm living too controlled of an experience. This, I don't feel seen as I am. I don't feel acknowledged as I am. Okay. And once you take this forward and you're willing to actually, okay, now I'm ready to step out of the shadows. I'm ready to take that leap. I'm ready to sprout wings as I take that leap and trust that I'm going to fly, you know, to the next phase of my life. What comes in but this beautiful cauldron with synergy and healing. Okay. So you're coming into alignment with something, and healing is on offer here. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's through really coming into a place of balance within yourself. And from this, something new will be born. There will be a new direction that emerges out of this. It's very much guided, right? You're definitely stepping into the choice. Is it going to be fate or is it going to be destiny? We all get dealt a hand of fate, and you get a chance to do with that what you will. Some just accept their fate. Now I want to see, okay? We're going to pull out the other half. I'm going to just do one more round with these. That way the whole deck got to come into play. I just want to see like a kind of like an overarching theme, energy, some guidance to take away that you can kind of let sit with you over the weekend. I feel like this is very imminent, okay? Something's coming up here. I feel like there's an important communication that's going to take place. And it's going to be up to you whether you use this as sort of like just succumbing to fate, or are you going to take the risk to be vulnerable and let yourself be seen? I do feel like it's important where you've been holding something back and you've been afraid to express it, that you let yourself come up and out with it. You don't realize how much it's been an unnecessary fear that you've been holding this in. 55:44 on the clock, okay? It's going to bring you into total alignment once you allow this cycle to come to a close. Just allow the ending to take place, you know. Even as you step into renewal, in cases where you're healing a relationship with somebody, you got to let the old cycle come to a close. And, you know, you might be afraid to hear some truths, you know, even as you share your own. That can be part of it too. Just, you know, being afraid to see another side, see what another person feels, see what their experience has been. So there's something here that needs to be fully acknowledged, that it's come to a close. And in acknowledging that, there's a brand new beginning that's born out of it. A brand new beginning where you can truly be who you are, and you can come into alignment with, you know, somebody who's ready to meet you in that place, because they're in that place too. All right. Bottom of the deck. Going beyond normal. See, there's that vision, okay? Musing energy. Something's going to come in. It's going to be like a light bulb going off. It's an inspiration. It guides you forward. It's very much mused. This is totally out of the ordinary. And what is coming in for you is magical. Remember, it's the most magical hour of all. And this is going beyond normal. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. This is not your typical experience, okay? So something new is coming in for you. We got another Hertz frequency. It's all about the heart, man, okay? This is all about opening up to love. We got 528 Hertz, mandala of the heart. I think you're starting to soften. I think you're starting to soften, okay? There's a part of you, despite whatever you've been through, despite whatever you may say, or how you might like to, you know, come off like you got it all under control. There's a part of you, you really want this sun to come in. You do. You do want to open up your heart to somebody. You want to soften. I think you're just about there, you know. The defenses are starting to melt away. I think you're taking these steps very tenderly, very sensitively, you know, you're easing your way into it, but I feel like you're really supported in this. There's a connection coming your way that it's sort of like the spiritual connection is undeniable. You just get each other on another level. And it's going to be one of those things that you're going to have to open up to it, man. Okay? Ooh, owl medicine coming through again. Spirit of the owl. 852 Hertz. So again, this piece. Sure, you know, you've been through a lot of darkness, but remember, our owl is able to see through the dark. Owl is able to see what others can't see. And so you're being asked to really recognize that, yes, you traveled through some really shadowy stuff. 58 on the clock. 13, 26-8. Okay? What may have seemed like it was bad luck to you was actually the source of your empowerment. And it's what allows you to step into this new manifestation for your future and what is ready to come into union with you. And you're going to take forward all of that wisdom that you gained during that time of moving through the shadow. And this is what will shine a light on your future. You're not going to be deceived again. Most of all, you're not going to allow yourself to deceive yourself. And that's what's really important here. Because this part about really acknowledging your intuitive knowing, you know, that you really need to hold on to. You need to not lose this piece again. And I do feel like where there has been that blocking of the feminine that's like been guarded and unable to soften and receive with the perfume of Sophia, I feel like there is this beautiful like letting go, this softening. And remember, pleasure is the key. Pleasure is the doorway that allows this to come in for you. So there's something that will definitely illuminate the way forward once you allow yourself to kind of go to these places of really acknowledging the truth of what you feel. Even if you just sort of start with yourself, I feel like you'll be supported in this process, because even just that willingness to be honest with yourself about what you're really feeling and the way that you kind of sort of like do still believe in love and you really do want to have that experience, just that willingness allows enough receptivity for like, you know, this forces to align to say, all right, let's give this one a chance here. Let's give them a little support. And you'll see the more that you soften, the more you'll feel supported, the more you're going to enter this flow. Okay. Let's do a cut of the deck with this deck. You can't see it right now, okay? The veil, the future. So this is about just really coming into the present moment and, you know, sort of ditching the stories about how your life's going to play out, especially if you've been going through a challenging cycle and you're closing that up. You're closing up a difficult karmic cycle, okay? Don't tell yourself a story about what lies ahead for you, because you don't know. There's a surprise here. It has yet to be unveiled to you. And we got the Oracle of Chaldea. Okay. So again, it's all about some vision, some inspiration, some foresight about your future. It can even just be a hint. It can be a nudge. But this is why it's so important for you to start to move into that kind of like softening, receptive energy. Because there's a new vision that wants to come in for you. It's like third eye lit. Third eye lit. Something's opening up here. Something's going to happen. It's going to feel a bit of magic. It's going to feel a bit out of the ordinary. It's going to require you to be vulnerable. You're going to have to take a leap. It does require you to, you know, open up to the experience and let go of control. Like, you don't get to control this. You don't. But if you allow yourself to go there, there's so much potential of what it's going to open up within you and through you and in another too.